Is God really listening to you? I cannot tell you guys how many times I've had this question over the last few days. It seems like it's coming in droves. And it seems like there's this spirit of doubt going around, and I want to address it because I understand what it's like. And I can talk about how God gives you strength and how God is going to be there for you and how He will never turn His back on you, and how as men we're fighting a war of the mind and the heart and the soul. I can tell you all these things, but if you don't believe in God to begin with, if you don't think He's there, if you don't think He's listening, it's a pretty moot point. And so a lot of you guys have expressed some doubts and you've expressed some frustrations, and I totally get it. There's a time in my life where I thought that I knew everything, that I didn't need God, that I had it all figured out and it was all in my strength. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I burned out very quickly. But I know that there's men out there who live like this for years, decades even, and they become more and more bitter, and they don't have a spirit that you want to be around, right? You might know these people in your life, in your family, pointing the finger at everybody else around them. I've had people comment in the same vein about how if they only had a little bit of money, right? If they only had this, just a little bit more money, then they could get ahead and then everything would be fine. I've had people comment about how they are going through some really, really crazy stuff, like working through some mental battles, working through some stuff, and they know God is there, but they just feel so far away from Him. I've had people comment saying that they've tried talking to God for 20 years, but He's not listening, and He doesn't seem to care about them. And I know what that's like, right? I know what that's like to come to God over and over and over, and it seems like you're not getting an answer, like He's not there, like He doesn't really care. Maybe it seems quiet. You ask God and nothing seems to happen. You're going through these things in life and you're just, if you just had more money, if you just had a woman, if you just had more strength, if you just had a better upbringing, if you just had a better mental state, if you just you have these things and you're like, man, if only, if only, if only. And I've been there. It's not a fun place to be, guys. It's a crippling place to be. And I can tell you about, again, the war that we face, but if you don't even believe in the God that can help you, then it's pointless. So this is for you. This is for the people, the doubters, the ones who have prayed to God, who seem to not get an answer, the ones who think if they just had this one thing, that everything would be okay. If God would just grant them that one thing, then they would believe. I'm going to tell you a little story because I think it's best when it comes from a place of understanding. I used to live like that for many years. It was all about me. It was all about what I wanted, and I wanted to do things my way. I still struggle with this. I struggle with pride. I think every man, if he's honest, has a degree of pride and ego. And I was always pushing, always struggling, always just thinking if I could get this, attain this, achieve this, then I would make myself happy. I would prove myself to others, that my parents would finally be happy, that people around me would accept me for who I was, that my bosses, right? And it wasn't so much, in some ways it was, but it wasn't so much being a people pleaser and trying to just, fulfill everybody's wants around me. It was more of this, if I can do this, then people will accept me. Then God will accept me, and God will be happy with me. But then I also wanted to do it my way. So I wanted to live life my way, right? When it came to success in life, it was all about how much relying on my wisdom, my intellect. When it came to women, it wasn't about trying to find a wife. It was about how many women could I date? How many women could I have on speed dial, so to speak, right? How many women could I have that were in love with me, that were crazy about me? It all came from a place of pride and ego. The clothes I wore, the way I talked, the way I walked, it all revolved around me. And then I got to a point where this didn't really work. This reality sort of crumbled because you're living a facade, right? It's not the way you're supposed to live. Eventually it comes crumbling down either sooner or later. And I'm thankful to God it came down quick. He humbled me. And then I went through a period of life for a couple years where some pretty crazy things happened, some crazy circumstances, some of them situations I got myself into. And all this kind of hit me at once one day, and I just was angry. So I went from like proud and arrogant to now angry and demanding of God and just shaking my fist at God, just living in a way that was full of rage. Right? I was really starting to question God at this point, just angry at the world, angry at God. Like my prayers, if I guess I could count them as that, were just complaints and anger against God. God, why would you do this? Why would you let this happen? If you're really good and you're really God, why would you let this happen? Like, how dare you? Like, I was angry. Why would you lead me here? Why would you lead me? Why am I miserable? Why would you let this happen? And I lived like this for a while, and I burnt out. Thanks be to God, because he humbled me. And on the other side of that is really when my life started to turn around. But it was only when I realized, when I was at the end of myself. And God has this funny thing of bringing you to your knees over and over and over and making you realize you can't do it without him. But I got to this point where I realized that I couldn't do anything, that things were just getting worse the way that I was doing them. My life was all about the look, right? If I could just look a certain way, if I could just have the women, if I could just have the money, if I could just have the power, if I could just have the influence. It was all about that. But that wasn't what I was made for, and that's not what you're made for. In Proverbs it says that a wicked man's heart rages against the Lord. Rages, right? And that proverb always kills me because I read it and I think back to that time in my life. And maybe it's the media, maybe it's the movies, maybe it's the things we grew up with, maybe it's the lifestyle we grew up in that convince us that it's good to be a wrathful, angry, vengeful man because that's what's strong, that's what's masculine. And the reality is it burns out. It's a quick flame that makes you feel powerful for a moment, but then it just fizzles out. It makes you feel worse than before. And you're stuck going, what do I do now? How am I going to live? Because this isn't working. And that's where I feel like a lot of people are coming from. Maybe you've been praying to God, or you think you've been praying to God, and I'll get to that here in a second, for a long time, and you're just like, why am I not getting what I want? If only I had the money, if only I had the woman, if only I had the circumstance, if only God just gives me what I want. And I was there. In some ways, God gave me these things. He gave me what I wanted, and it wasn't what I needed. It humbled me. It showed me a lot. That's why I tell people in my videos, if you guys have watched my videos before, I talk about how at one point I was over $50,000 in debt. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I was literally a paycheck away from going homeless, and oftentimes I was in the red. I thought that if I just had more money, things would be better. And then I landed a really good job, and I was making more money than I'd ever made in my life, and yet I still didn't understand how money worked. I didn't have wisdom for finances, and I was pretty much in the same boat. I was just keeping myself afloat. I was just spending, I just had more money to spend, more money to be irresponsible with. I would meet these girls and I would just live in a way that was all about me. And it wasn't until God was humbling me through this process. I started to realize I can't do it my way. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. These people who say, well, God isn't real and it's all about your actions. And if I only had this, if I only had that, and I'm going through this, and I feel for you, man. I do. I understand, right? I've been in some places in life where I wasn't in my right mind for a long time. And I thought, oh, if I only had this, I only had that. But my heart was in the wrong place. And as men, we don't want to admit that, right? It's not manly to admit, anything about your heart or that you're wrong. It's not manly. And we have pride. That pride, man, it seeps in and we think we're better than God, right? And that's what it comes down to, is we think we're better than God. We think we know what we need. We tell God what we need. God, I know I need this, give it to me. Then we get angry when he doesn't give it to us. And then we're like, or when he does give it to us, it's worse. It leaves us worse than before. And we're like, what? Then we're angry, but we got what we asked for. And I challenge you, if this is you, I challenge you when it comes to things like money. Instead of asking for more money, ask God for wisdom with finances, because then you'll find you can do more with less. God will make you more responsible. And I'm not a prosperity preacher. Just a quick note on that. A lot of prosperity preachers, I think, get it wrong. However, there's a lot of churches out there who also tell you that, you need to always be poor and struggling. I don't think that's right either. God gave us wisdom if we ask for it. He gave us a mind. We know what's right and what's wrong. And God's not going to give you more money so that you mess up your life more, so that you're irresponsible with more, so that you dig yourself a deeper hole, because with more money oftentimes does come more problems. Poor people have problems, rich people have problems. Everybody's got problems. It's how we use what God's given us. It's how we are in dominion over the things that he's given us. Why would he give us more if we can't even do enough, or we can't do the right thing with what we have? Right? If we think of God as a father, as a good father, and you're a child before him, why would he keep giving you things that you're going to keep hurting yourself with? A good father's not going to do that. He's probably going to take it away, probably going to teach you, he's probably going to correct you lovingly. Sometimes it might seem harsh to you, but it's for your best, it's for your good. So these people who say that, I've been praying to God for 20 years. Well, how have you been praying to God for 20 years? I'm going to ask you that straight up, because there's been years in my life where it seems like God wasn't there. But when I look back, I was pointing my finger at God, telling him what to give me. I was asking God like he was a genie, expecting him to just grant my wishes. That I knew what was best for me. It wasn't about God. It wasn't about good. It's all about me. The guys who say, oh, if only I had a woman. I mean, most guys can't even take care of themselves. Most guys can't take responsibility for themselves. We all want this woman who's going to be accountable, because it's hard to find that. Why would a woman who's accountable want to be with a guy who can't take responsibility? You attract who you are, guys. I hope you realize that. If you're desperate, if you're trying to find someone to fill the void, you'll find someone. Don't be surprised if it's miserable. It's hard doing the right thing. It's hard choosing the right thing. And I want to really end the video with this, because I think this is going to drive the point home. And again, I've been here, so I know what it's like. If you guys know what it's like, let me know in the comments. This is a tough subject, right? This is a tough love kind of video. But are you getting down on your knees before God? Are you submitting yourself to God? Jesus tells us to go into a quiet place in our room and get down on our knees and pray. And a lot of men are like, well, I'm not going to get down on my knees for nobody. I'm not going to submit to. That's the problem. True strength comes from submitting to the God of the universe. The devil is full of pride. He knows that that's how men are. Way back in the Garden of Eden, Adam didn't go, you know what, God, You're right. I am so sorry. I messed up. You told me this. I messed up. I take full responsibility, Lord. I want to repent. I never want to do this again. I'm so sorry. First thing he did, it's her fault. How many guys do you see today? It seems like more than ever. That's why I joke that most guys now are just the male version of feminists today, because look at the messaging, look at what's being told, look at all this stuff. It's always like, oh, women are the problem, the corporations, the government, I just can't get ahead. It's something else. The beauty of it, guys, the freedom of it, is when you realize where you are, you accept where you are. You accept responsibility for your circumstance, for what you've been through, for who you are, for where you're at, and you actually try to make the best of it and do something about it. Oh, also, and the secret, guys, is that's actually extremely attractive to a lot of women. So if you want to be the man that you want to be, if you want to have God's blessing, then come before him like a little child. Come before him knowing that you probably don't know what you should ask for. Instead of asking for this or that or this, ask for his will to be done. Ask for God to make you stronger. Ask for God to give you patience and perseverance. Ask for God to give you exactly what you need, not more, not less. Ask him to teach you. Ask him to guide you. Ask him to bring you the right woman that he knows is best for you, not what you think is best for you. To lead you to a good church, a good group of people to be around, right? To remove things from your life that aren't supposed to be there. Oftentimes we think if we just add, we just need to keep adding. As men, we're always trying to get more and have more, be more. What if God's telling you that there's actually a lot of things you need to cut out of your life? But I can't do it. I don't have the strength. I can't get over this. I can't stop doing this. Of course you can't. You need his help. He has to replace it. You have to repent, turn away, and the Lord has to replace it in your life. And sometimes, guys, it's going to be a struggle. It's not going to be pretty. You're going to go through days, weeks, maybe months or years of what seems like spiritual just onslaught. And that's God cutting everything away. That's not for his glory, for his kingdom. He's cutting it all away. In Psalms, it says that he cuts the sword of his spirit. It cuts through bone and marrow. And the idea is it cuts to the innermost part of us, our innermost DNA, our innermost soul and spirit, our innermost essence. So that all these people who say that I've been praying, how have you been praying? Are you humbling yourself? Are you seeking the Lord with your whole heart? Or are you angry and shaking your fist and just coming before him, telling him what you want? I promise if you change your heart posture and you come before the Lord as Lord, whatever you will, if you come before him, God, I need money, but I know that's not the answer. I need wisdom with money. I need wisdom with life. I need wisdom with people and work. If you come before him, God, I want a woman. I really do, but I want the right woman. I want to have the right heart posture towards that woman. I don't want to see her as a sex object. I don't want to see her as something to be used. I don't want to treat her in a bad way. She's your daughter. You made her just like you made me. God, I'm struggling with this mental problem. I'm struggling with this problem. Guys, I'm going to be real with you, and I can speak to you on this. Oftentimes, my mental issues I was going through were because of choices that I was making. The battle is in the mind. What music are you listening to? What music are you listening to? What YouTube videos are you watching? What video games are you playing? What people are you hanging around? Are you taking care of your life? Are you eating good? Are you sleeping? Do you have a good schedule? Are you drinking a lot? Are you using drugs? Like, be honest. What are you doing with your life? Do you have a purpose, or are you just coasting? Are you trying to find a purpose? Are you trying to better yourself? Not in a vain way, but you're the holy temple of God. The Holy Spirit of God resides in you. So you got to take care of your temple. You got to be grateful for the body and the health that God's given you. How are you approaching things in life? That's what I want you guys to think about today. Just like I had to think about all these things, and I constantly think about these things. I'm not here to put you down. I'm here to lift you up. I want to see you guys be better. I want to see you guys understand who God is. I want you to know that he's your Father. And the only way to the Father, to know him as your Father, is to know Christ, to come before the cross, to get on your knees, pray. And sometimes you don't know how to pray. Sometimes you're like, Lord, I don't know the fancy words. There are no fancy words. You come before him, you say, Lord, give me faith, give me wisdom, please give me understanding. Make me turn away from these things. Take this burden. I can't. I don't have the power, God, but I know you do. Give me belief. Give me understanding. Help me to turn away from these things. I want to. Seek him with your whole heart. Seek him with your whole heart, guys, and he'll give you an answer. And I'll leave you with this. Sometimes he says to be still, right? Again, we always want more. He sometimes tells us to be still, just to pray, just to go to a quiet place, cut off all the distractions, pray, read the Bible, pray through the Bible. Be surprised. You can read the same chapter in the Bible over and over. You can come to it years after years and still be learning new things. Come with a humble heart. Admit that you can't do it. Admit that you need God fully, and his ways are higher than your ways, and that his will be done, and your life, your mindset, your heart will change for the better. He will make you new. So guys, if you need anything at all, if you have any comments to share, again, let me know in the comments below. Love hearing from you guys. And Lord willing, I'll see you all in the next one.